This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
We are back here with Conforti Consulting that specializes in working with owners and CEOs, companies, their staff, and of course, uncover those opportunities, those shortcomings that their company may be looking over and less profitability and all these things are happening. But wait a sec, we have our expert here, our CEO of Conforti Consulting, and this is Fred. How are you doing today?
Hi, I'm fine. How are you?
Great. We are excited to have you back. We had a great conversation last week. For those that missed it, I'm going to ask you just to give us a little bit of your background, who you are, what you do. And I know last time we did talk more about your vast experience running companies, buying and selling, along with your success. We're going to talk about some of the obstacles that you or your companies have had to overcome in your career that will inspire so many. But before we get to that, just give us a little description of your company, if you don't mind.
My company is a boutique, if you will, where we deal with the owners of companies, the presidents of companies, the CEOs, and we work with them one on one to try to find opportunities within their company and eliminate liabilities within their company and do it together with their staffs and the entire team that they have. We've been doing that
Beautiful.
for several years now and been very successful with it.
Beautiful. Well, we're excited. You specialize in so many different areas like strategic operational planning, cost reduction, sales training, organizational structures, executive recruiting, goal settling with accountability, but also you're working in what states? Just want to confirm.
Well, primarily in Illinois and Florida. We have an office in Naples, Florida. We have an office in Glen Ellen, Illinois.
Beautiful. Well, thanks so much. So now, like I mentioned last time, we discussed, all of your experience that you have with this. So can you talk today about maybe some obstacles that you have personally or some of the companies that you've helped, overcome? And I know it will inspire so many.
Well, I'd like to tell you about two that I've had that I think might be very interesting. One of the most concerning obstacles I faced was early in my career. I had just started to run a company named BRK Electronics. It was a small smoke detector company in Aurora, Illinois. It was owned by Pitway Corporation, a large corporation on the American Stock Exchange, which later moved to the New York Stock Exchange. Its president, Neeson Harris, had just hired me for the job. I was young, I was excited, and couldn't wait to get going. The first week I was there, the first person I wanted to talk to was the accounting person.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned from the accounting person that the company was insolvent.
Wow.
So much for doing my due diligence before I took the job. So now I find myself in a company that's insolvent. Okay, we can get past that.
Mm-hmm.
So now I start looking into the product and the quality of the product. And in the second week I'm there, I learned that 15% of the product was failing a test that it had to pass before it could be shipped. And I said to myself, holy cow, if 15% are failing before it leaves the door, there's got to be at least another 15% failing out in the field. That's
Yeah.
unacceptable.
Yeah.
Now, here I am. What do I do? The new guy on the block, no track record, trying to make a go of this. And I had to dig deep and figure out, okay, what are the alternatives? And the alternatives really weren't that exciting, but I did what
Mm-hmm.
I think I had to do. I
Got it.
stopped shipping the product. I laid off or I furloughed all of the production workers and went to work at re-engineering the product. Six
Mm-hmm.
weeks later, the product was in good shape. We started shipping. We never looked back, but that was a very disconcerting obstacle that I had to overcome. And fortunately, did it in a way that everybody was happy.
Beautiful. Oh my goodness. Wow. What else? My goodness.
Well, there's a second one that might be interesting to people. It had to do with our manufacturer's reps. Over the years, our company had grown, and the product turned out to be a commodity product. In other words, there were a lot of competitors, and there was a lot of need, but everybody was trying to get orders because there were lots of orders available. But every time they'd get an order, they were asking for discounts here and discounts there. And it was driving me crazy as the CEO. Well, one day we had seven of our top reps, we had about 30 of them. We had seven of them in for a meeting. And I'm listening to the marketing manager, and he's telling them all of the things we're going to do for them. Well, we're going to have a baker's dozen for you. That means we're going to give you
Yeah.
13 for the price of 12.
Wow, that sounds
We're
good.
yeah, we're going to give you a chance to go on a cruise if you're the best guy in the of the 30. We're going to give shirts and hats and jackets with the company name on it. And I'm going, holy cow, what are we giving away? The store? And he was about to talk about now the golf outings that they were going to have. And I said, wait a minute, hold it, stop everything. Let me get in here and say what the marketing manager is telling you, not all the things we're going to do, but he's telling you which of these things do you like best? Because you could pick out the one you like, and that's the one we'll go with. But then I sat there and I thought for a minute and I said, why are they always selling on price?
Yeah.
So I looked at the seven reps and I said, okay, guys, why do you tell me why our product is better than the competition? There were seven of them, and I figured I'd go around the table and they'd all give me some reasons. Guess how many times I got around the table?
Didn't move, did you? No one could answer it.
Well, I didn't get around once, but I did get two answers.
Oh,
And
okay.
yeah, well, I got two. That was good, better than nothing. But I said to them, I said, look, guys, if you knew what I knew about our products, you would not have to sell on price. So right then and there, I said, we're having a meeting with all the reps. So 2 weeks later, all the reps came to Chicago. We had them all out in the Oak Brook area. And the theme was if you knew what I knew. And we were training them on all the things that our product was better, reasons it was better than the competition. That turned out to be very well. They all kind of got the idea. There were fewer and fewer requests for major discounts. Yeah, we did discounting, but
Uh-huh.
it was way less than what we had been doing prior to that.
Go out. Hold on. Oh, hold on. You got to know your products. And I can't believe this. So seven reps in the meeting. This is insane. Oh my goodness. And you were like just so tired of all like the free giveaways. Oh my goodness.
Right,
But this is so exciting. So you did due diligence. You sent everyone together, made a team effort and to get everyone together. And that also builds camaraderie and excitement around the product, right? So tell
right.
me after that, tell me how great the company did.
Well, the company just kept growing and growing. We grew 200 to 300% a year for 7 straight years. And we never were unprofitable, even though we started out insolvent. It took us 6 months to get solvent. Interesting story. In the 6th month, we made a little profit. Then I took the entire company out for lunch. The lunch was more than the profit. So we didn't make money in the 6th month. We had to wait till the 7th month. But after that, we never looked back. We were a very profitable company.
Hello, hello. There we go. So you really, really have to know the product's benefits. Obviously, we're learning a lot more here and amazing, right? I can't believe you start off new and like you're in the company talking and nobody knows. And these are the sales reps, but this is what happens time and time again. And I'm sure you're seeing this in other companies that you are monitoring and working with, right?
Right. People don't know their products well enough. They usually sell features, they usually sell themselves. What they should be selling are benefits
Yeah.
and knowing their product well.
All right. Well, let's talk about in helping companies improve then. What are some of the shortcomings that you are repeatedly seeing, like that one? Could you just reiterate some of that as well?
The major one we find, and I've consulted for dozens and dozens of companies, but almost all of the medium-sized companies and smaller companies have no plan. They have nothing written down as to where they're going, where they want to go, how they're going to get there. So it starts out, they have no plan. And then if they do have some kind of a plan, they usually don't have any metrics. They're not measuring enough things like the quality going out the door or the time it takes to make the product. So with few metrics, they don't know where to put their emphasis. Another thing is they have the wrong people in the wrong jobs. And a lot of that is due to the technology today. It moves so fast that people can't keep up. So we have to help them. And if we find people are behind the times, if you will, one of the suggestions is we have to do some in-house training. We got to get the people caught up. We got to make sure the right people are in the right seats on the bus. And there's another favorite of mine. Companies do not spend money to make money. And what do I mean by that? Most companies I go to have lots of opportunities to spend a little money and have it pay back in a very quick time. So we say to the people in the company, look, if you have a machine, if you have a tool, if you have some software that you think is going to help your job, make it easier, make it faster to do, and you can show that it'll pay back in less than a year, there's no reason why management shouldn't immediately approve it. And we find dozens of things in companies that they could pay for in less than a year. So another thing they don't know is their true costs. If they knew their true costs, they'd know where to put the emphasis. And we say that the fastest way to increase your profits is to get rid of the things that are losing money. In other words, obsolete products that aren't making money. But if you don't know what the products are costing, you don't know which products to obsolete. And lastly, we look at organization structure. Many companies are either too vertical or too horizontal. Vertical meaning they have managers reporting to managers reporting to managers, or horizontal meaning they have too few managers and each manager has so many people reporting to them that they can't really control or manage them properly. So those are some of the shortcomings we find over and over again.
Do you want to elaborate on any more?
Well, I like to elaborate on getting a plan. I think
Yes.
getting a plan is the key for most companies. And how do you go about getting a
Mm-hmm.
plan?
Ah, that's right.
Well,
No documented plan. Okay, I'm pulling up the notes. I'm a little slow. I got him. I got him.
okay. So, how do you go about getting a plan? Well, we have a kind of a process we go through. You could either do a brainstorming session or a SWOT analysis. Most people are familiar with SWOT. That's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And we put all the key people, and it has to be all the key people in the company or in a division or in a department, and let them sit there and just tell us what they think. What do they think could be better? What do they think is not going right? And all of those ideas are put up on an easel pad or a chalkboard. There's no judgment made on any of it. It's just all put up there. And this way, everybody gets a chance to make known what they feel. The loud people get to talk, but the quiet people also get an opportunity to say what they think. Now, once we get the brainstorming done and we have all these things up on the blackboard or the easel, we start categorizing them into groups. The
Okay.
quality department, the manufacturing department, the sales department, the marketing department. And then, interestingly enough, to make it so that it's not biased in any way, we do an anonymous vote.
Oh,
We do an anonymous vote on what each of these people think should be the most important things. And we give them three choices that the company should be working on. And when we tally all that up, usually there are 4 or 5 items that rise right to the top, and another 5 or 10 that kind of get no votes at all. So those are the things that really are important for everybody. Let me just get rid of this.
sure. So we're joined here with Fred, as you may know if you are just tuning in. Fred Conforti, he's the CEO of Conforti Consulting, based out of Illinois, Naples, Florida. And it's exciting today to talk more about all the work that he does and how he's helping you and your business succeed, be more profitable, and of course, really improve. And we just talked about some shortcomings, maybe like the documented plan's not there. They only have few metrics. They have the wrong people in the wrong positions. As you say, management is not spending money to make money, which is common. So it's, pretty interesting that you mentioned, oh, you're back with us. There you go. Perfect.
I'm back.
Good, good, good,
Sorry,
good. That's
the phone in the office rings. What can you
that's
say?
okay. I don't like dead air. So where do we leave off? Oh, now where are we going to next?
Well, now that we've got the things that people really think are important, what we need to do is document it. because if it's not documented, it gets forgotten almost immediately.
Yeah.
So we use a form called GAMES, GAAMESS. It's an acronym. It stands for goals, action items needed to meet the goal or get the goal done, accountability, meaning who's responsible. And we always make sure that only one person is responsible, because if you have two people or three departments, at the end of the time that it's supposed to get done and it's not done, everybody's doing this, blaming each other. So only one person could be accountable. Then we have M in the games. It's M for metrics. You have to have a quantifiable measurement for knowing it's done. The E stands for evaluation, which means that every once in a while, top management has to call in all the people that are responsible for the goals and get them to give a report as to how their progress is being made. And lastly, and most importantly, because you need to have fun while you're doing this, is you have to celebrate successes. And
Ah.
celebrating successes could be, if in 1 month you happen to break a shipping record, you don't have to wait till the end of the year. You
Mm-hmm.
could immediately say, hey, we're celebrating the whole company. We're bringing in lunch for everybody, or everybody's getting a hat with the company logo on it. Something that's fun, something that recognizes the accomplishment, and people enjoy that.
I
So
agree.
getting people engaged in the process is important. One of the things we always did, besides when something good happened, having a little party, at the end of the year, we had a banquet. And at the banquet, we would invite all the people that had completed their goals. And at that banquet, we would recognize them, of course, but we'd hand out plaques. And
Mm-hmm.
every plaque said what they did, when they did it, and what it meant to the company. It wasn't long before you could go in all the offices around the company and you would see plaques on everybody's walls. So
Wow.
that got everybody really involved in what was happening.
Wow.
Now, keeping the employees engaged is another important aspect of doing a program like this. Program like this is not, oh, we're going to have goals and objectives, and then when it's done, we're all done. No, we have games, and then after that, we start all over again for next year. But how do you keep the employees engaged? Well,
Exactly. How do you? Yeah, you got to get them involved in setting goals, as you say. Uh-huh. But I
right,
love this camaraderie. And can I be honest, for someone who's worked for companies my whole life, I've never been an entrepreneur like yourself. But those are the things that I still wear, my old logo sweatshirts from the TV stations that we got.
right,
And you
right.
remember the plaques and you have them on your wall still. Like, those little things make you feel good, make you feel special. And even just collaborating for lunch with your employees, with your fellow workmates, I love that. Nothing like that. So thanks for mentioning that. I like that. So now how do we keep these employees engaged? Go ahead.
Well, at first, when we do the brainstorming or the SWOT analysis, we have to have all the key people there. If you don't have them there, you're not going to get everybody to appreciate what's being done for the company. And then one of the key things about it is, if someone comes up with a goal and says, well, I think we ought to try to improve our quality next year by 3%. Well, when it comes time that we're looking for who's going to be accountable for that, the perfect person is the person that said that's what we should be doing, because they have a vested interest. They are the ones that brought it up. So if we give it to them to fix, they have buy-in already and they have motivation to getting it done because it was their idea. So that's another way to get people engaged. And then you have to give them the tools. If they don't have the tools to get the job done, you're hobbling them before they get out of the chute. So how do we give them the tools? After we set the goals, we make sure that we have the appropriate staffing to get the goal done. And then we look and say we have to have the appropriate budgeting to get the goal done. And that means that you can't do the company's budget every year until you've done the staffing and the budgeting for all of the goals that we're trying to accomplish. Most companies say, okay, the budget next year is going to be 10% more than this year. And then they get to the end of the year and they wonder why they didn't make it. They didn't make it because they didn't have a plan to get there. So we want the plan, we want the staffing, we want the budgeting, we want the buy-in, and we want people to be engaged.
And, you also mentioned that if you want folks to really complete, really hold themselves accountable to complete the goal to succeed, they have to also, like you mentioned, make sure the goal is staffed, the goal is funded. And at this time, I want to know a little bit, do all of this before casting your annual budget in concrete? Like, in your opinion, what are some of the other issues that we can help work towards eradicating in this?
Well, if you don't give the person that has let's say they want to improve sales by 5% or 10%, well, it might take adding more advertising. It
Mm-hmm.
might take adding another salesperson.
Okay.
But if you don't sit there and know that you have to do those things, to add those things, you're never going to get the additional sales that you're looking for. So you have to understand what staffing needs you need. And then you have to understand that's going to cost more money. And then you have to evaluate, is spending that money going to pay for itself if sales go up 10%?
Yeah.
If it does, then do it. So never start out with a budget. Always start out with, where are we headed? Why are we going there? Who's going to take us there? And how are we going to know when we are there?
Perfect. Now, what advice do you have like for a company that does have some flat sales, that may be declining profitability? Clearly, teams aren't functioning well, employees not engaging. I would say call you. Tell us, tell us.
Well, I would say I agree with that. Um, we help many, many companies. We've helped many companies over the years. And we find that it doesn't make any difference to us because we've got so much experience in all kinds of companies, all sizes of companies, all types of companies. And it doesn't make any difference to us what the business of the company is in because we ferret out what are their opportunities by working with their teams. We ferret out what are their problems by working with their teams. And it turns out that most of these are solvable. And they're all things that are not so ethereal that you cannot put a finger on it and you can't really measure it, figure out how to solve it and solve it. And to solve problems, we have another thing. You've got to get to the root cause because if you only treat the symptom, the problem's going to come back again. So you have to get to the root cause to get to the real problem, not just the surface. Again, no, if you don't get to the root cause, you're not going to solve the problem. And how do you get to the root cause? You have to ask why, until you can't find another reason. In other words, why are sales down? Well, somebody might say we don't have enough salespeople. Why don't we have enough salespeople? Well, because we don't have the budget. Why don't we have the budget? And you keep asking why until you get down to, well, we don't have the budget because the boss won't allow us to do it, won't give us the money. Well, okay, how are we going to solve that problem? So you got to get to the root cause of a problem in order to be able to solve the problem.
Perfect. And we still have a few more minutes left together. I just want to make sure we're covering everything in our notes and want to remind everyone, Fred Conforti, obviously, we're here talking with him. If you missed the show, you got to tune back in and check out last week's as well. But he's helping keep your employees engaged and obviously turning over companies, making them more profitable and helping. What would you say to, just overall advice out there to some business owners that may be suffering right now and need your help?
Well, before that, I'd like to give some advice to the people in the company. And that is, if you want to succeed, if you want your companies to succeed, do the own the company, make it your company. If you make every decision at work like it's your company, you're going to make a lot of good decisions. If you don't care, if you slough things off, if you say it, if you give excuses, you're not doing anybody any favor, including yourself, because if the company doesn't do well, you don't do well. And if you want to get ahead and you have to prepare yourself. And if you're prepared, when the door opens, the opportunity opens, you're ready to go through it. So prepare yourself for whatever you want to become. And when that door opens, and it will open, you'll be able to go through it and be successful. And as far as the owners of the company and the CEOs and the presidents, if you're having any kind of issues, give us a call. We can help you. You can get my book that could help you without probably costing you much money at all. It's available on Amazon. It's available on our website. Our website is www.conforticonsulting.com. We're happy to engage with you and see what your issues are. And if you read my book, you'll be able to do a lot of this on your own. So good luck.
Thank you so much. Amazing. Thank you for being here, for joining us. If someone does want to reach out again, one more time, tell us the website.
Website is conforticonsulting.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Pleasure to have you back. And like I said, I hope you had a great Mother's Day weekend with all the ladies in your life and enjoy that. And anything new coming up business-wise? Any good stories coming up? Are you working for anyone new or anything else you want to share with us before we go today, Fred?
Well, I just got a new assignment from a client that he wants to do an acquisition of a competitor, and he wants me to lead the negotiations to actually make the deal with the competitor, with his blessing, of course. But it's an interesting challenge, and I'm looking forward to it.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Fred. Always a pleasure having you here. So thorough, so efficient. Wouldn't expect anything less. Thank you again and have a fantastic day, okay?
All right, Jill. Thank you.
Thank you,
Appreciate it.
Fred. Enjoy your day. Bye bye.
This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.